Welcome to 50 Shades of Shilamida. I am your hostess, Shilamida. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. Today, I want to talk a little bit about my health and wellness journey. I am hosting a free masterclass next Friday, 9/9/2022 at 9 a.m. If you would like to hop into that masterclass, please reach out to me on social media, either on Facebook with my full name, Shilamida Cooperstein. On Instagram, you can check out my page, 50 Shades of Shilamida, or goddess_of_gratitude. Or you can always reach out to me on my website, www.shilamida, SHILAMIDA.com. I wanted to start sharing a little bit about my health and wellness journey because I think it's really important to talk about health, wellness, food, all of it. It's an awakening. Just like you have a spiritual awakening, which I'm sure a lot of you have had if you are listening to this right now. If you are very new here and this is your first time listening, welcome. For those of you that are true fans of the show, I really appreciate you coming back week after week and listening to the wisdom and applying it to your own life, because I truly believe that together we rise, right? So the more knowledge and wisdom that I am able to share, the more that you are able to absorb and receive, and then in turn share, then the whole world becomes better. So that is my goal in sharing wisdom, in putting my life so out there for you to see. So most of my life, I was overweight. I say most of my life, but I'm starting to shift into probably half my life now because I'm 43 years old. But I would say up until I was about 24-ish, I was always overweight. I knew nothing about food. I did every kind of diet out there, you name it, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, I don't even know. I even went to an Overeaters Anonymous meeting. Food and me were just never friends. I grew up in a Russian household, and for anybody that knows, stereotypically in my Russian household, we would get one soup a week. It would alternate between chicken soup, borscht, or a vegetable soup. And then there would be a whole lot of salads that were like mixed together with like mayonnaise, and I don't even know. We didn't eat a lot of vegetables. I didn't really know anything about vegetables until my 30s. And yeah, so food was a total awakening for me. And I didn't really learn about it until I went to acupuncture school. So I always struggled. When I was about 23, 24, I lost a lot of the weight. I was the thinnest I had ever been, maybe closer to 25, 26, I should say, because shortly thereafter, I got pregnant with Mikey. That's been my pattern in my life, is as soon as I lose a lot of weight, I tend to get pregnant. Not anymore. Thank goodness. We have our fill of children in the house. But all those years ago, I had lost the weight, partially because I was a personal trainer. I know. Isn't that interesting? I was a personal trainer, but I was overweight. But there used to be this franchise called Curves for Women, and it was for women who were a little bit on the heavier side. And so it was appropriate for me to be a personal trainer there. And so I would work out twice a day. And on top of working out, I was committed because a girlfriend of mine was getting married and I was her maid of honor. So I had a goal to lose the weight, and I did really well at that time, and I lost the weight. But I happen to be an emotional eater. And so anytime something happens in my life, I eat my way into a frenzy. So yeah, it had to be when I was about 25, 26, because when my father passed away, that's when the eating started. We are Jewish, so we sit Shiva. And in those 7 days of Shiva, the food that came into my house was tremendous. And I just ate and ate. And then 3 months later, I found out that I was pregnant with my son, Mikey. I had broken up with his dad 6 weeks prior, and then I found out I was 8 weeks pregnant. And that just rocked my whole entire world. I definitely was not ready to have children. I had at one point told my mom that I was never going to have children. So the fact that I was pregnant was like out of left field. I had already broken up with my son's father. I was done with that relationship. And it was just a really tumultuous time in my life. So I remember making trays of brownies. My ex and I got back together. So he would leave to go to work. I would make a tray of brownies. I would eat half the tray before he got home from work. And then by the next morning, the tray of brownies would be finished. It was a really hard time for me. I decided to have Mikey, not have an abortion, because at that time I was already spiritual. I was already into Kabbalah. And I really thought that my father was coming back into life form in the form of this baby. So I decided to have the baby. I decided to get back with my ex, and I happened to gain 100 pounds during that pregnancy. It would take me 5 years to take the weight off, and it was a tremendous time in my life. I did diet pills, like these crack cocaine pills. Like they literally felt like I was on crack cocaine, and I haven't experienced with drugs, so I could tell you the comparison firsthand, and they were just horrible. But I probably lost 10 pounds. Like at my high was 255. I came down to 214. And then with those pills, I think I came down to 204. And then I was just like, okay, I have to stop. I just could not take them anymore. I literally thought I was going to have a heart attack every time I took them. It wasn't until I went to acupuncture school that I really started learning about food, detox, energy, like the food that we eat, it matters. So I was in a nutrition class, and in the nutrition class, this teacher decorated the entire desk in front of me with all this green vegetables, stuff that I had never seen of, never heard of, wouldn't even know what to do with. And when I'm comfortable in a situation, I decide to become like the class clown. So I was doing that during that class. And so he called me out, and there was food on my desk, and he said, "What are you eating?" And I said, "I'm eating an egg white and cheese on an English muffin and a light and sweet coffee from Dunkin' Donuts." And he said, "What in that food that you're eating is giving you chi energy?" And I was like, "What do you mean? This is healthy. It's 2 points on Weight Watchers." And he's like, "But where are you getting your energy from?" And I didn't really understand what he was saying. So for anybody that knows anything about acupuncture or Chinese medicine or any kind of healing medicine, it's all about energy, right? We are energetic beings, and energy can never be destroyed. So even though we live this life in our bodies, when our body passes, the energy of us is still alive. So what feeds and fuels energy? It's fruits and vegetables, right? Because fruits and vegetables grow in the ground. The other thing that would fuel energy is by eating animal meat, but animal meat is also, it's killed, so it's not alive. So it's all about like, how soon are you pulling the lettuce from the ground? How soon are you picking the apple from the tree? The sooner that you get it from when it's harvest, the more chi energy that you're filling yourself up with, right? Vegans have issues with animals, mostly because a lot of them, they love animals, so they don't want you killing animals. But other people choose to become vegan because the way that they slaughter the animals and the way that they treat the animals, and then they slaughter them to eat, it's just like us, right? If you're not in a good state of mind, that sits within your body, right? If you are depressed, anxious, if you're sick, if you have any kind of disease happening, it sits inside of you. So it's the same thing with animals. So when these animals are really poorly treated, they're put into a building together, they have no room to move and graze and do the things that animals are supposed to do, and they're suffering. And so when they're slaughtered for us to eat, we're actually eating a suffering being, right? So it's like their energy is being injected into us. And that is why so many people are sick, because that's not the way that we're meant to eat. Not that we're supposed to be vegan. I don't think that being vegan is for everybody. I think it's definitely for some people and it works tremendously for some people. But for most people, I think that animal meat is okay. But it's super important to know where your animals are coming from. It's super important to eat organic meat and to know that they're not being treated with hormones and antibiotics. And so all those years ago, when I was a obese young lady, can't say that I was quite a woman yet. I knew nothing about food. As soon as I went to high school, there were vending machines in my high school. And at lunchtime, I would go to a vending machine and I would get myself a bag of gummy bears or Twizzlers or anything that was sugar and chewy. That was my thing. I loved all that stuff. And that stayed with me until I went gluten-free, but not even for my first 3 years of gluten-free. For my first 3 years of gluten-free, I was still eating all of that stuff except for Twizzlers. I stopped eating Twizzlers. They were my favorite because Twizzlers are actually gluten. The first ingredient is wheat flour. So I bet most of you listening to this don't even know these things. So if you can get anything out of this podcast today, it would be to start reading labels. Like anything that you put into your body, I want you to start reading the labels. Even if you don't understand what the labels are, that's even more important, right? Because if you're eating a lot of stuff and you don't understand what you're putting inside of your body, that's important. And so this is where the awakening happens because I live in America. I know that some of you listening don't live in America and the standards are different in other countries, but I will use this standard for an example. In America, they let us eat a whole lot of shit that they don't let you eat in other countries. The FDA approves it. The CDC says that it's okay. It's sold in the supermarket. And so we as consumers, we think that it's safe. Wrong, because the food is one of the ways that they make us sick or they keep us sick. Because what people need to understand is that we are not worth anything to the government when we are healthy. And so people will argue with me and be like, but I pay my taxes and I make a lot of money and I pay a lot in taxes and it doesn't matter. Your taxes mean nothing. Okay. It's like a small smidgen in the big scheme of things. But if you're sick and you are on pharmaceuticals and you have to go fill a script every month, that is where the real money is at for the government, because not only are you filling the scripts, you're going and you're doing all of these treatments that they are responsible for. We are literally walking experiments for the government. And it's really scary when you sit down and you break it down, but most people will not break it down because their cognitive dissonance, they cannot grasp the fact that anybody would want to hurt them, especially not the government of the United States of America. This is supposed to be the greatest country of all time. Why would they ever want us to be hurt when we're just here to live? But it's wrong. We are not just here to live. We all have contracts that we came here to complete. We are all living here for a purpose, but most people are not living their life with purpose. Most people are living their life in autopilot and they are just going by the day, living in this sequence in their mind. They're not even aware and conscious of what they're doing because their routine is exactly the same. They wake up at the same time every day. They drive to work the same way every day. They do their job every day. They're miserable. They're not happy. Maybe they're semi-happy. Then they go home at 5 o'clock. They cook dinner. They eat dinner. And then they turn on the TV. They watch the news. They watch all kinds of garbage. And they go to sleep and they start over. On Friday, they go to happy hour. Saturday, maybe they go to a party or out to dinner. And Sunday, they start dreading the weekend. Sound familiar? I know a lot of you that are listening to this probably have that familiar feeling, but I know that a lot of people in my world are super awakened at this point and are not living lives like that. So I used to preach about routines and doing stuff on a daily basis, and now I don't do that anymore because every single day needs to look different in order for me to be aware, awake, and conscious. If you've been listening to the podcast that I stopped drinking, I don't know, I'm somewhere like day 86 or day 87 with my mishap on 4th of July. I don't count that because I was 28 days before that. So we just have a blip in the road. And I also have not smoked pot now in a minute. We were just in Aruba for a week. I did not smoke the entire time that we were in Aruba. I did take 2 edibles on 2 separate days because I had my period and I was in pain. But today I'm feeling all of the feels. Today I'm like, the breath is not as deep as it usually is. I feel like wonky in my head. So I've been having really crazy dreams. I've not gotten a full night's rest in a long time. So I'm still trying to figure out this sober life. I don't know how long I'm planning on doing this for. I don't know if this is a forever thing or if this is just a for now thing. I really haven't decided. I started doing this for my health. Last year, I had an ultrasound come back that had something on my liver. I had a doctor tell me that he was going to cut my liver and that I was going to be okay. And I was like, you're definitely not cutting my liver. I went to a second opinion who told me that it looked just like a blood pool and that I shouldn't really be that worried about it. And so I put it on the back burner and I forgot about it. And then most recently, my fiance had cancer. We didn't know it was cancer right away, but after the biopsy came back, it was. Thank God it's gone and there's no further treatment for him. But it scared me when the detox process, I'm feeling a lot of things in my body. And so I decided to go get another ultrasound. And in this ultrasound, the thing on my liver is smaller. I had a fibroid on my uterus. It is smaller. Apparently, I had a cyst on my kidney that nobody told me about. That is also smaller. So all of the things that I'm doing now are contributing to the things in my body reversing and re-aging. I also feel that becoming a rep with Pure Haven has been life-changing for me. I feel that some of the products that we were using most definitely contributed to Ben's cancer. And who knows, it could have contributed to the things that I had in my body. We were using brands and companies and I thought that I was living very clean. And when you start reading ingredients, you will see and you will notice that you are not as clean as you thought that you were, right? Especially for those of you that are like, oh, but I use essential oils and I use a wellness company, right? You are being told that these things are healthy, they're safe, they're effective. Those words might sound familiar, right? Because you're being told those things, not because you actually opened up a book and did your own research. So that's the problem with Americans and most of the world, I'm sure, is that people don't want to do research. I, for sure, hated doing research. I was not a researcher at all. I listened to what other people told me. I listened to what I thought was right and I went for it like 100%. And then luckily when I met Ben Lover is a big researcher, not when it comes to food, health and wellness. He was a big researcher in restaurants, in when we need to buy something, like reading reviews and all that kind of stuff. So he really taught me how to start doing my due diligence and learning about the things that I was consuming and buying. And then I started applying that to the food I was eating. Look, I was overweight most of my life, and I was actually told that if I didn't lose the weight by 30, that I was doomed and that I would never lose the weight. And if you see me now, I am in the best shape of my whole entire life. I am the thinnest I've ever been. I am thinner than most of my college friends, my high school friends, like all the people who were like toothpick skinny and I envied and was jealous over back in the day. Like, why do they get to be so skinny and I don't? The truth is that being skinny doesn't mean that you're healthy, right? It's like the wrong paradigm to live in, that just because they're skinny, that they feel good in their body or that they're confident in themselves, because everybody's got their own issues happening inside of their minds. And we look at other people and we judge them by their appearance and we think, oh my God, they're so amazing. But what really shows that they're amazing is when they radiate light and energy, right? Like when people come into my stratosphere, when they are close to me, they can feel the energy coming off of me. And I say that with confidence because it's been said to me time and time again. I was having a conversation at an event that I went to the other week, and I was telling the people there that I'm actually very introverted. And everybody just started laughing because these are people that like know me at this point. I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. Most days If I'm not out in the world because I'm at an event or I'm speaking somewhere or I'm hosting a party with Pure Haven, you will find me in my house, in my bed, under the covers, not wanting to talk to anybody. I am very to myself. I am very introverted. I become extroverted when I know the players, right? So when I walk into a room of people and I know the people, then I'm comfortable and I feel confident, and then I'm able to be outgoing and be responsive. But if you ever watch me walk into a room with people I don't know, I will not be the star of the show. My energy will be, because people will feel me. They know that I'm there because the energy is so powerful and strong. And then people just flock to me. And then once the flock comes, I tend to shine. But without that, I am very quiet. And so one of the women was like, oh, you know what? That's very true, actually. She's the first couple of times I met you, you were very quiet and very reserved. And it's just, I just know that my purpose is so great and so grand that all those years ago when I started manifesting, I manifested wanting to be a motivational speaker. So when I step on stage, I'm a channel and I just am able to go. And I've done so much work on my energy and healing and all the things that I'm able to really shine on a stage. But if you took me off the stage and you threw me into the crowd of 2,500 people, you will see a totally different persona. I am not the one that will go straight into a crowd. If we go to, let's say, concerts or games or whatever, I am usually off to a corner. I am not in the center of it all. So you can never judge a book by its cover. That's like the most important lesson of this podcast as well. You can never judge a book by its cover, because when you start peeling back the layers and really seeing what's inside, it's a totally different version than what you're seeing on the outside. But I digress, and let's get back to our health and wellness awakening. When 2020 happened, and I won't say the word, but when 2020 happened, I was so happy and excited because I'm like, yes, this is it. People are now going to be so awakened. They're going to see and understand what I'm seeing and what I understand, and everything's going to be great. I'm not going to be the weird one, the outcast, the crazy one, right? Like, I'm actually going to be surrounded by people who understand. And then I walk out of my house, and on August 31st, 2022, people are still wearing freaking masks. And it's like everything I have, it's taking everything I have at this point to not turn around and be like, you are a fucking idiot, moron, dumb ass dildo. Thank you for giving me my moment. Seriously, we went to the bagel store this morning and this guy is in there with an N95 on. What are you N95ing at this point? The CDC has already said that vaccinated and unvaccinated are exactly the same, that a child with COVID can sit in a classroom, does not have to quarantine, does not have to. So what are we still wearing masks for? They're like, at this point, there's no, unless you're a surgeon or you work in a hospital, you should not be walking around in public with a mask on. You are lowering your immune response. You are not helping yourself, not even a little bit. You are not helping yourself by breathing your own regurgitated air for however long you're wearing those masks for, right? And then you're walking in and out of places. That means you should take off your mask and put on a new mask. That is the way that they work. If you were to walk into a hospital, a surgeon doesn't wear the same mask all day long. They wear the mask for surgery. They leave surgery. They take it off. A nurse walks into a room. She puts a mask on. She takes it off, right? We're not meant to wear the same mask for 8 hours a day, the cloth ones that you're then going home and you're washing and all the particles are going through anyway. These are all awakenings that people are just not allowing themselves to go through because they feel like they're living in purpose, right? This is their purpose. They have no other purpose in life, but they feel that if they're wearing a mask, that they are helping others somehow or themselves. I don't know. But I'm going to go into greater detail of all of the things: health, wealth and all the things is the name of my masterclass next Friday, 9/9 at 9 a.m. I hope that you are there. I'm going to do it live on Zoom so I could see your beautiful faces so that you can ask me live questions and I can answer them for you. And then I'm going to be dropping an incredible offer that's only going to be available for 24 hours. So I highly suggest that you hop into that masterclass. There will be a replay available if you can't hop in. And definitely come see what's happening in my world. I am on a massive health journey. I am operating in an extreme right now. I don't necessarily suggest everybody operates the way that I operate right now, but I'm going to explain it all, why I've chosen to walk this path, what I'm doing for my health to further where I am trying to go and be. And listen, the longer that we are here and we are alive and we are allowed to partake in this thing called life, it is an opportunity for us to keep learning, to keep growing, to keep expanding ourselves. And the only way that we do that is by making our mind stronger, our body stronger, and trying to be the healthiest versions of ourselves. I grew up with both parents having cancer. 17 to 27, all I knew was the word cancer. And when I got pregnant with my son and he came earthside, I made a vow that I would try to live out my life so that my children would not have to watch me suffer the way that my parents had to suffer. And so a lot of people will watch this or listen to this and think, yeah, I agree. And then they'll go eat their Twinkies or smoke a cigarette or go drink a bottle of wine tonight. And there's no judgment. I've eaten the Twinkies, smoked cigarettes for 15 years. Up until 80 something years ago, I was popping bottles of champagne almost on the daily because life has become such a celebration. But now learning to navigate, learning to celebrate without all of these outer substances taking over my mind and my body, it's power, it's strength, it's a whole way of being that I have never known. And if we want to shift and grow, we need to come out of our comfort zones and do things different than what we are used to. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I love you. I'm sending you massive amounts of strength and light and clarity. And I hope that your awakenings are a little bit easier than mine. I will tell you that it's not easy awakening, but it is worth it. Every single moment is worth it because the rewards become grander. If you are not connected with me, please reach out to me. Come find me all over social media. I'm on Instagram, 50 Shades of Shilamida. I am goddess_of_gratitude. I am on Facebook, Shilamida Cooperstein. I am on Pinterest /Shilamida. I am on YouTube. Maybe you're finding me on YouTube because this is recorded on video as well. And I am so grateful if you are listening on a podcast station, if you can rate the show, if you loved it. If you didn't love it, then maybe rate somebody else's show. If you can go to one of my pages, comment, share it with a friend, send it over to somebody. The more we shift, grow, evolve, and change, the better the entire world becomes. Thank you so much. I love you, and I will see you soon.